Welcome back from the break, everyone. We now have a top 10 on games under $10. For those running on a budget, these games will provide you with a lot of bang for your buck. If you think we missed anything, let us know on our Facebook page. At number 10, it's Thomas Was Alone. With its minimalistic charm, Thomas Was Alone has cemented itself into every games as art conversation. While the game itself is not very difficult, the story and characters are enjoyable enough to pick this up for $10. Drifting into the 9th spot, it's Flower. Another arty game, Flower has players controlling the wind, bringing life back to the land through the use of flowers. One of the most relaxing games, Flower is definitely worth checking out for those who want to calmly make their way through a cheap game. Using mind powers to get into our 8th position, it's Psychonauts. With a great mix of humor and fun gameplay, Psychonauts has rightfully earned its cult following. While the game is a bit old, it's held up fairly well.
An army of psychic death tanks to take over the world, and there's no one who can stop him, except for you and me!
Oh my god! Let's make out!
Violently killing its way into number 7, it's Hotline Miami. This intense trip through 1980s Miami has players clearing room after room of bad guys, with only their reflexes to save them. This game can be difficult at times, as the player has the same amount of health as other enemies, and there are a lot of enemies. Flying a bathtub into 6th position, it's Gary's Mod. For $10, this game provides an almost endless amount of fun. With many different fan-made game modes and an incredibly open-ended sandbox, Gmod is some of the most fun you can have with your friends.
Brother, you have found another egress from the House of Chaos.
Fighting, building, and crafting to get to number 5, it's Terraria. While many people believe this is just a 2D Minecraft clone, it's much more than that. Taking more of an RPG approach to the sandbox formula, Terraria is best experienced with friends, fighting bosses and getting better gear. Crawling into 4th place on our list, it's The Binding of Isaac. Warning, this game is very addictive. Its difficulty, paired with large amount of content and replayability, is a steal for its $5 price tag. Its sequel, Rebirth, is $15, but still worth checking out if you enjoy the original. One of the best puzzle games in recent years, Portal makes its way to number 3. For only $10, players get to experience the critically acclaimed and innovative puzzler, and they won't regret it. I envy those who are playing the game for the first time, as it's an experience I will never forget.
So in case you don't make it through the testing, goodbye.
With the sequel right around the corner, now would be a great time to pick up Fallout 3, our 2nd place. A great RPG experience, Fallout 3's massive amount of content will keep players going for hours and hours, and for only $10, it's a game all RPG fans should take a look at. Breaking the ground at our top spot, it's Half-Life 2. You better believe this game was groundbreaking. It's voted by many as one of the best games of all time. If you've never played it, go get it now, and play through the whole thing. For only $10, you won't regret it.
Fallout series has always been one that I've been extremely interested in. Although I've played Fallout 3 to death, I feel as though I don't know enough about the other games in the series to be satisfied. So much has happened in the background of this series that I feel I needed to delve deeper into the vault of knowledge on the Fallout universe. Fallout is a post-apocalyptic role-playing series that was created by Interplay Entertainment back in 1997. Its predecessor, Wasteland, was released in 1988 for the Commodore 64, Apple II, and PC-DOS. Though the two game worlds are different, they're both set during the 22nd and 23rd centuries, and have a post-war culture feel from 1950s America, along with extremely similar characters, locations, and inhabitants. The technology is retro-futuristic, with various ray gun machines such as laser weaponry and Forbidden Planet-style robots. Computers use vacuum tubes instead of transistors, the architecture of ruined buildings feature Art Deco designs, and energy weapons resemble those used by Flash Gordon. Advertising and branding have a distinct 1950s feel. The series is set in an alternate reality world where, 100 years beforehand, a war waged between the European Commonwealth and the Middle East, the United Nations disbanded, the Chinese invaded and took over Alaska, and the US conquered Canada. These eventually caused the Great War in 2077, a cataclysmic nuclear exchange that lasted a total of 2 hours, which created the post-apocalyptic United States setting of Fallout. This led to atomic physics being the furthest that science progressed, and would cause the world to be somewhat stuck in the 1950s era. 23 years prior to the Great War, the US government sets Project Safe House in motion in 2054 to build fallout shelters called vaults, which were designed to support up to 1,000 people, as they would be self-sufficient to a point where inhabitants could live indefinitely. 400,000 vaults were intended to be built, but in the end only 122 were constructed, and most of these vaults were used to conduct various experiments, ranging from exposing inhabitants to a mutagenic virus, to setting up the equipment that makes the vault's clothing to fail immediately after the door closes. You could probably guess that many of these vaults were so self-destructive that by the time other survivors opened them, they were nothing but graveyards. Both Fallout 1 and 2 had 2D isometric graphics as well as turn-based combat, and were developed by Black Isle Studios in association with Interplay Entertainment, but they were threatened by bankruptcy and ended up selling the Fallout franchise to Bethesda, who went on to release Fallout 3 in 2008. It was a massive hit with its updated 3D graphics, a free-roam gaming world, and the VAT's enhanced real-time combat. There was lawsuit after lawsuit between these companies, and because of this, the development of Fallout Online was stopped, but that isn't to say there won't be one released at some point down the track. Pete Hines at Bethesda Softworks said, "The whole reason we went out and acquired the license and that we now own Fallout is that we clearly intend to make more than one. This is not something we're going to do once and then go away and never do it again. When that will be or how long that will take, God only knows. But we acquired it specifically because we wanted to own and develop it, and work on it like we do with the Elder Scrolls series." In each game, there is a large amount of Easter eggs. I wouldn't be able to list them all, but some of the most recognised ones are from Bioshock, Doctor Who, Forrest Gump, Futurama, Anchorman, Indiana Jones, Lassie, Mad Max, Sesame Street, Robocop, Star Wars, and even Snow White. Fallout 1 takes place in 2161, where you're a vault dweller who has been sent out into the wasteland to find a replacement water chip which regulates the filtering and recycling systems of the water purifier in your home, Vault 13. Initially, Fallout was intended to run under the GURPS role-playing game system, but there was a disagreement with the creator of GURPS over the game's violent content. This required Black Isle Studios to develop the Special system. Special is an acronym for the primary statistics system within the game: strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. Fallout 2 takes place 80 years after Fallout, and centers around a descendant of the Vault Dweller, the protagonist of Fallout 1. The player assumes the role of the Chosen One as he tries to save his village after several years of drought and death. Additional features include several changes to the game world, including significantly more pop culture jokes and parodies, such as multiple Monty Python referencing, special random encounters, and self-parodying dialogue that broke the fourth wall to mention game mechanics. Fallout 3 won countless awards back in 2008, including Xbox 360's Game of the Year and E3's Best of Show. The story picks up 30 years after the setting of Fallout 2. The player is a Vault Dweller in Vault 101 who is forced to flee when the Overseer tries to arrest him in response to the player's father leaving the vault. Once free, the player is dubbed the Lone Wanderer and ventures into the wastes in and around Washington DC, known as the Capital Wasteland, to find their father. Before Fallout 3 was started by Bethesda, Black Isle Studios started on their version of the game, which was much like Fallout 1 and 2 and was supposedly going to be named Fallout Van Buren. Bethesda was very fast to drop the original design and converted it to an FPS RPG. The original plot and story was nowhere to be found in Fallout 3, and Van Buren was thought to be gone without a trace. But in 2005, design documents were leaked onto the internet containing almost every detail and design of the game. In 2010, Bethesda Game Studios and Obsidian Entertainment, which was composed of a few old employees from Black Isle Studios, created Fallout New Vegas. This new entry into the Fallout series took a great number of things out of Van Buren, such as the NCR and Hoover Dam, and placed them in a more modernised scene. Though there is pure mystery still surrounding Fallout 4, I can guarantee it will be just as much of a blast to play as the previous games in the series.